The early morning mist hugged the jagged cliffs like a ghost, and the distant echoes of gunfire bounced through the valley, swallowed by the fog. Sergeant James Carter pressed his back against a cold rock wall, trying to catch his breath. In his hand, he gripped a crumpled letter from his young daughter. "Daddy, come back safe. I love you." His chest tightened as he whispered the words aloud, as if the air itself could carry the promise. Around him, chaos reigned. Explosions rattled the mountainside, smoke burned the eyes, and the cries of the wounded pierced the fog like daggers. Every soldier he had trained with, every friend he had laughed with and trusted with his life, was either fighting desperately for survival or already lost. James knew the truth all soldiers fear but seldom admit: bravery does not guarantee safety. Death is a constant shadow on the battlefield, waiting for a moment of weakness, a misplaced step, a single unlucky shot. Today, he would witness horrors that would haunt him forever, but also moments of courage that would shine brighter than the bullets and smoke surrounding him. This is the story of the worst military deaths ever witnessed, not just the statistics, but the faces, the names, the stories behind every loss. And it begins now. Stay with me, because what you are about to hear is not just about war, it's about humanity, courage, and sacrifice that echoes long after the battlefield falls silent. James Carter had always believed in purpose. Growing up in a small town in rural America, he had been captivated by the stories of his grandfather, a decorated veteran who spoke of courage, camaraderie, and the bonds that could only be forged in the crucible of war. The medals displayed in the living room were more than just metal. They were stories of men who had faced impossible odds and survived, or not. From the moment he enlisted, James knew he was stepping into something far larger than himself. Boot camp tested him in ways he never imagined. Relentless drills, grueling physical challenges, the kind of mental pressure that could break a man if he let it. But he found strength in the unit he came to see as family. Corporal Miguel Rivera was the quiet heart of the team. His calm demeanor belied a sharp mind and unshakable courage. Private Eli Thompson, the youngest in the squad, had eyes that held equal parts fear and determination, always eager to prove himself but often uncertain of his own limits. Sergeant Harper, a grizzled veteran, was a father figure to them all, stern, demanding, yet endlessly protective. Their missions began with reconnaissance in isolated regions, training exercises that tested their limits while forging bonds stronger than blood. They laughed together, shared stories of home, and comforted one another in moments of quiet fear. Letters from loved ones became lifelines, small reminders of the world waiting beyond the mountains, beyond the gunfire. But war does not wait. One mission took them deep into a rugged, mountainous region with limited communication and treacherous terrain. The sun had barely risen when the ambush came. Bullets tore through the early morning silence, explosions shattered the earth, and the air was thick with dust and screams. James felt his world narrow down to the next breath, the next move. Miguel was hit first. The moment he fell, James lunged to pull him into cover. Miguel's eyes met his, wide with fear but also with trust. "I've got you," James whispered, though even as he said it, he felt the weight of inevitability pressing down. Nearby, Eli screamed, panic overtaking him as debris and smoke filled the air. The hours that followed were a blur of chaos and terror. Soldiers fought tooth and nail for survival, dragging the wounded to safety, shouting for medics, praying for reinforcements that were hours away. Every corner held a new threat, every shadow a potential death. By nightfall, the unit was fractured, shaken, and grieving. That night, as James wrote in his journal, he captured not just the events but the essence of what they were going through. Fear, courage, guilt, sorrow, it all poured onto the page. He wrote of Miguel's calm in his final moments, Eli's resilience, and Harper's words of encouragement as he risked his life to save others. Even in death, these men had given life lessons, acts of heroism that could not be erased. James learned that bravery wasn't the absence of fear. It was the decision to keep moving, keep caring, keep protecting, even when the world seemed determined to crush you. He knew that these moments, these faces, would stay with him forever. The weeks that followed tested them in ways James could never have imagined. Each mission pushed their limits, each engagement with the enemy brought new losses, and each sunrise reminded them of what they had survived, or what they hadn't. One mission, in particular, would define James and his unit forever. A supply convoy was ambushed while navigating a narrow mountain ridge. The enemy struck with precision, and chaos erupted instantly. Explosions ripped vehicles apart, smoke filled the air, and the cries of the trapped echoed through the cliffs. James found Eli pinned under a vehicle, eyes wide with terror. Every second felt like an eternity. Ignoring the pain in his own body, James lifted the wreckage with all his strength, dragging the young soldier to safety. Nearby, Miguel, despite his injuries, was helping another comrade, his calm presence anchoring those around him. But death was relentless. Sergeant Harper was struck by a mortar, falling instantly, leaving the unit in stunned silence. James felt the weight of command press down on him like never before. Lives depended on his decisions, on his courage, on his ability to act when fear threatened to freeze him. By nightfall, the survivors counted the losses. Friends, mentors, brothers in arms, they were gone. James, broken, exhausted, and haunted, survived. Survival, he realized, carried its own burdens, guilt, grief, and memories that would never fade. Back home months later, James walked through the airport terminal, every step heavy with memory. The medals on his chest were meaningless compared to the stories he carried, stories of courage, sacrifice, and human resilience. He began volunteering, sharing his experiences, honoring the fallen, and inspiring new generations with the lessons learned in the fires of war. Sitting with his daughter, he read stories not of perfection, but of perseverance, love, and resilience. Courage, he told her, isn't about never falling. It's about rising every time the world knocks you down. The battlefield had taken much, but it had given him a mission beyond medals, to carry the legacy of those lost and ensure their bravery would echo for generations.